and welcome to the JIGME KELSANG podcast show. My name is JIGME KELSANG. Each week you'll hear fascinating conversations as well as stories from many professionals from a broad range of fields and experiences they've had. On this episode, I'm joined today by West Palm Beach, Florida natives and Nashville recording artist and brother and sister Juna and Joey. The sibling country duo fame first exploded by posting covers on YouTube, which eventually accumulated more than 7 million views collectively, along with a viral TikTok which reached upwards of 10 million views. Their infectious, charismatic personalities and tight signature harmonies has attracted fans and made audiences around the world stop to listen and fall in love with them. They're with me to talk more about it now. Welcome, Juna and Joey.
What's going
Thank you for
on?
having us.
Thank you for coming on. I mean, I just listed some of the things that a lot of people describe you guys as. And so when you get those types of compliments, what goes through your mind?
I mean, it's great to kind of like hear you say like our kind of like the progress that we've made on social media, because we first got our start out on YouTube actually posting kind of like cover videos of the most popular songs at the time. And Joey was the one who was like, hey, we should start a YouTube channel, get some music out there. And we had 25 subscribers at the time.
I remember those 25.
Yeah. It's crazy to think now we have like 83,000 or something, and just to see how that progress is being made not only on YouTube but also like on other platforms like TikTok and Instagram and things like that. So yeah, it's just great. It's cool to see like the accomplishments and just to know that there's so much more coming in the future.
Right. And you're just talking about accomplishments and those things, and I just listed that you're West Palm Beach, Florida natives, and I was listening to another podcast interview you guys were on, and I remember Juna, you talked about sort of, it wasn't like you didn't hate Florida, but it was sort of like it was so hot that like you just didn't want to really have that sort of feeling of season for that
Yeah.
long, right? I mean, talk more about it.
Yeah, because I excuse me, I love like to feel the seasons like throughout the year. Like I like it when it's cold and I like it when it gets hot and stuff. But in Florida, it's pretty much hot all year round, which isn't bad. You can go to the beach during Christmas time, so that's great. But I don't personally love the beach, so I just prefer like the change in seasons. But I love Florida so much, and I love being there. So
Yeah, about a couple years ago, we decided to buy a house up in Nashville, to get a lot more work done and really be in the country music scene, and did a bunch of writes with some songwriters up there. So it's been pretty awesome to be up there where the country music's at, and hopefully perform at the Opry one day.
Absolutely. And you guys were just talking about like how awesome it is to be able to travel the world and be able to move from city to city, but then also finding a place where you can settle down in Nashville, right? I mean, that's where really the mecca of country music is.
yeah.
But then there's also Branson, Missouri, which is sort of the mecca of bluegrass music, sort of, right? I mean, that's sort of so interesting to me. Um, and so we were just talking before we started the podcast about touring and coming off a heavy schedule, and you guys were just talking about like you just want to get a real quick nap in before like getting off of like a 10-hour flight.
Yeah.
Talk to me more about what your schedule has looked like up to this point.
It's been really crazy. Pretty much every summer we're out touring in a different spot. Last summer we were touring in, or actually maybe it was 2 summers ago. We did a tour with an artist named Cade Fainer, who's Gabby Barrett's husband. They were both the American Idol. And that was kind of like one of our first tours ever. So that was really cool to see how, we first started out kind of just doing the States, and now here we are across the pond, as they say, in England, touring all over here, which is just, it's great to like kind of see the comparison between the two. But we love touring so much, and it's like our favorite thing to do. So
yeah, it's basically wake up in the morning, songwrite, have a show, travel, sleep as much as you can, eat as much as you can, and do the same thing over and over and over again.
yeah.
But we love doing it, and traveling the world is really cool to see different places, the money, the accents, just everything about touring is just so cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're just mentioning how it's just so cool to be able to wake up and do what you love every
Yeah.
single day. Can you like explain more in terms of the feeling that you get every time you wake up and try to do this thing that you've dreamed of doing for a long time, and now you're doing this basically full time, right? Like, talk to me more about the feeling behind just getting to do that.
No, it's honestly it's the best feeling in the world because we get to, it's especially having Joey there like with me and like having us as siblings being together all the time. We can always write whenever we get the chance or go over things, practice things all the time. And it's just a great feeling to know like, oh, I'm waking up today and I'm doing what I love and we're performing and doing it's really cool to also like meet people like when we perform. That's like my favorite thing. Is like just kind of the energy with the crowd that you get is amazing. So that's definitely a really good, feeling and
It
experience.
just feels good to be on stage, and to sing in front of people. And country music is a big thing where people feel stories. They hear your story. It's a big thing too, is having a story. We grew up, I was a sports guy. I played basketball, baseball, football, and soccer, and just switched to music like that. So it was really cool to, just the whole world just shifted for me. So it was kind of weird. But doing music on stage is really what I love to do. And I love sharing my passion with other people so that they can listen to me and just, hear what I have to say and sing and about songwriting and what I went through.
Right, absolutely. And you're just speaking about how you sort of shifted from sports as a normal teenager would, like myself. I mean, and then you shift over to something that you just end up eventually find out that you like to do. I mean, music is now what you guys are passionate about and are going on the road and performing all these songs, especially original songs, right? I mean, and so that brings me to the point of, can you both talk to me more about like how you each sort of got into music in the first place?
Yeah, I started out at like 3 or 4. I was doing classical music, classical piano with my first vocal coach. And I got into music because I loved the movie The Little Rascals and I would watch it all the time over and over and over again. And I fell in love with the scene of Darla and Alfalfa. They were on stage, doing a talent show. I was like, oh my gosh, like I want to be just like that little girl. I want to sing on stage. And it's kind of weird that like I'm kind of doing the same thing now, like the boy and girl thing, but except it's my brother. Um, so yeah, that's kind of like weird to think about. And then I started lessons, and now I'm playing piano, guitar, and also a little fiddle. I've been trying to learn. So yeah, that's kind of how we got into music. And then Joey joined me.
Yeah, like I said, I was playing sports. I played baseball for 8 years. I thought I was going to be the next
MLB.
MLB player, star player, something like that. And then eventually started playing basketball. I did a little football. I was the quarterback, and we won the Super Bowl when I was like 8 years old. So it's kind of cool. And then I played soccer. And I went to one of her lessons one day, and the teacher was like, "Do you sing?" I was like, "Nah, I just play sports. Sports is where I'm going." And then
And then he broke his.
then totally went this way and found out I could sing. I was at the piano, and she's like, "All right, just do a little, exercise, a little." And then I did it. I was like, wow, it's like maybe I should do this. And then started doing social media, started writing songs, covering songs.
Yeah, it's so
And
crazy
here
how
we
like
are.
it got so real, like so quick, like in the beginning, like when Joey first started. It's pretty much like right after he had joined me and like we started doing music together we were actually in a classic rock band and we'd play like Blondie, Led Zeppelin, Heart with a bunch of kids we had met through School of Rock. But then we realized, we didn't really want to do the rock genre our whole life and we didn't really want to be in a band. So we kind of split off from that and we started doing country music as a duo because we'd always listen to country music and it was a genre that we really loved. We just never like really got into it at first. But now that we are, kind of got like just real so quickly when Joey and I broke off into a duo and we started posting on social media. We're like, wow, this is our life. Like this is gonna be our lives for the next however many years, and we just can't wait to, play some bigger shows, meet different artists, write with bigger writers, and just like kind of like advance at every level. And we can't wait to just keep building this.
Yeah, I remember like the steps too. Like when I first started, like singing karaoke and going to Starbucks and doing all these smaller gigs, coffee shops and stuff like that. And it really helped me along the way. It was like building blocks,
Yeah.
practicing every day, practicing guitar, singing, doing warm-ups, just every little thing got us here. So I'm just glad that, I started very young
Yeah.
because we are still young. I'm only 20, but it's a good start.
Yeah, absolutely. And Juna, something interesting I found about you was, on the podcast that you guys were doing, that I was listening to, you mentioned Frank Sinatra,
Yeah.
which is interesting because there's not a lot of people who get into country music, but then, they don't take the inspirations of jazz music, but they just take the inspirations of old time country music sound artist. Talk to me more about the inspirations of Sinatra and his music.
Well, yeah, I had heard the song Love from the Little Rascals, the movie, and that's Frank Sinatra's song, and I heard it. And we'd always do classical music throughout, like, because we both went to performing arts schools, and classical music was like the genre it was like based around. So we would always like, Joey and I had these things called juries where we would learn classical music in different languages like German, French, and different things, and we have to perform them and things. So classical music has always kind of been a big influence in our lives, and that's kind of where we got our start. Um, but yeah, that was from the movie. The song Love is where I first like got into music. That song kind of inspired me to start.
Yeah, I'd say in school, that's like where we really started because they taught us the actual techniques of how, like the correct way to breathe and how to open your mouth when you sing. And, just certain tips and tricks to use, when you get older and start singing. But obviously it was a lot different in classical to country. We had to change the way we sing. So it was a little kind of,
Change.
a little change, but
Yeah.
we got it.
You got it. Yeah.
Absolutely. And like for my perspective on sort of how I sort of got into music was sort of John Denver, Country Roads. I remember I was in music class and they had this assignment where you had to pick a genre at random without looking. And so I picked out country probably three times straight. And I didn't know any country songs at all. I had no clue what music was. First time I did country, I just looked up all these songs and I was choosing and testing out all these things. And then you get insecure at the same time because you're like, I don't know what my voice is. I don't know what my potential is. Do you guys deal with that? Like when you go out on stage and then you have to perform and then you don't know if this key is right or this key is wrong, or talk to me more about that.
Yeah,
It happens all the time.
yeah, it's especially difficult for us because we both sing in different keys, obviously. So we have to
Well, we want to
find.
make sure to sing in the same key.
Oh no, I meant like we have different like ranges,
Yeah.
right? So we got to find like that exact key that fits both of our voices, because some songs will be too low for me or they'll be too high for Joey. So we have to find like that perfect balance of like, you know, which key to sing in and stuff, and how far we can go like with our voices depending on the song. So yeah, we deal with that all the time, but we've learned to like work through it a lot as we, started out doing covers, kind of like structuring songs differently in order for it to fit our voices. And then eventually when we started getting into writing music at like a really young age, we kind of just like fell into place because we'd been doing it already. So but we definitely deal with that a lot.
Yeah, keys is a big part of my life because when I was like sixth grade, I was singing like Bruno Mars. I was up in, high C. I was singing all the way up there. And then, 12, like around ninth grade, my voice went down. And then I started singing, some lower music,
Josh Turner.
some Josh Turner. And then, as they say, your voice doesn't develop till like you're 25 or 30. So my voice might go back up. It's starting to go back up. I don't know where it's going to lead me, but hopefully I have a high range and a low range. But yeah, so keys is a huge part of, of where we're singing at and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Josh Turner. What a coincidence because the last performance I did for the middle school assignment was I actually had picked out Josh Turner, and it was Your Man, and I just remember having sung that song in front of the whole class, and I was a nervous wreck because I had no idea what I was doing. The meaning of the song is like totally different than what people expect it to be. Um, yeah, and it's so interesting because Joey, you're so right because it sounds like your voice is so deep, but then when you go into those like high key moments where like it's like Luke Combs Forever After All, it's like there is that key change where it is. And then compared to different things that Stevie Wonder does, Stevie Wonder, his note flips are like unnoticeable, but he does it without people noticing it. Right. And that's the special thing about music is that the vocals, it's so like it weighs heavy on so many people. And you're just talking about music teachers, right? I mean, um, who are some of those sort of role models for you guys growing up?
I would say definitely a lot of our vocal coaches are role models, but also like people that we listen to on the radio all the time. Leanne Rimes is a big one that my mom always played in the car. She played that song Blue over and over and over again. And I love to listen to it even today. And Carrie Underwood, we did a lot of her covers, when we first started out, and our influences have grown a little bit, over the past few years. Like I listen to a lot of Cody Johnson now. I'm absolutely in love with his tone and his voice and how smooth it is. Like he's just one of my favorite country singers of all time. And like I said, Morgan Wallen and Carly Pierce and Ashley McBride.
Yeah, it
Love
really
her
changed.
tone.
I like when I first started, I was listening to like Maroon 5, Ed Sheeran, all sorts of things like that. And then, I started listening to rock, country, just everything. And then country was like, wow, this is like really where my
Great.
heart is at. And started, listening to the lyrics. Before when I started like listening to music, lyrics wasn't a big part of me for some reason. I just thought the melody was so good, like, oh, the melody and the rhythm and stuff like that. But when you really listen to the lyrics and you hear the song and you put in your mind and say, wow, okay, this is actually like story. It changed like just the way that I like to listen to music, and country really was right there.
Absolutely, and sort of you're just talking about Juna. You talked about Ashley McBride, Carly Pierce, and these are people still on the rise of country music, right? These are sort of the people that are going to replace those greats that are going to be eventually having to come off the road and retire from music, right? Like those
Yeah.
are some of the people, and I don't know if you are familiar with the Judds. The Judds have been
Mhm.
just all time the greats of country music. And then Joey, you talked about like Maroon 5 and those days, and those are so completely different, right? Like
Mm.
Yeah.
those are two different completely words. So then when you guys are performing or like are rehearsing, do you guys ever like collide with um, vocal tones? Because it's so different.
Yeah. I would say like something that kind of like pushed us to go, and it's gonna sound off topic, but I'm gonna like explain it. When we did classical music at both of our schools that we went to, we noticed that our tones were kind of becoming very classically like trained, which makes sense because we were doing classical music all the time. And the goal for them was to have us all blend into one voice seemingly. And that was great and all, for the program and everything. But then when we do our country music, we didn't have that like twang, or we didn't have that like special like flair to our voices anymore, because we were doing classical music all the time and kind of like structuring our voices in a way to blend and not stand out. So that's when we kind of decided that that was one factor of why we decided to kind of break off from that and do online school. But that's kind of a different thing. But yeah, we just noticed that our tones weren't very unique anymore, after coming off and doing both of these schools in middle school and high school. So it was kind of a struggle at first, when we first like got out of that. But now that we've been like doing country music all the time and singing together and kind of finding our tone and our voices more, it's definitely been a lot better.
Yeah, we picked up some things along the way, like when we were with our vocal coach, about putting rasp on different words and using, vocal fry and all sorts of things, different tips and tricks to make your tone a little better. And that's all with warming up and all sorts of things like that. So, and obviously, like I said, my voice changed. So in country music, you gotta have a little twang, like Judah says. So I've been trying to develop listening to different artists to try to, you know, change the way that I sing to make it more, passionate. Because before, when I used to sing, I wouldn't like. It's all about passion and putting emotion into what you're saying. Because if you're just singing, the crowd's not gonna feel it. You got to make the crowd feel what you're singing. So that's tone
Something
and
that we've been working on.
emotion and something we've been working on.
Yeah.
Hmm. And that's so interesting you say that, because that's what a lot of American Idol does. Like I as like an up and coming musician myself, um, I watch that show a lot, and then I try to also understand what the judges are saying and take their advice, not only as like I'm watching for the contestants, but I'm also like helping myself with it, because
Mhm.
they tell you these things where like sometimes you got to come out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
You can stay as long as you want and try all the comfortable songs for you, but then eventually you're gonna have to jump out of that and
Yeah.
dive into the water and try something new, right?
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
And so like how do you guys sort of ensure yourselves to try new things but also make it comfortable where it doesn't become uncomfortable?
We have a vocal coach that we work with to kind of help us, structure different songs and put together some really unique harmonies and things, especially with our own music. And we work with her a lot on different things, trying to push ourselves, not too hard, obviously, but like in a way that's like outside of the box, outside of our comfort zone, and kind of test things out, try things out, and not kind of like I'll put it all in one. We kind of like space it out. Oh, we'll do something here, we'll do something really cool here, give you a moment on this song, and then Joey will give you a special thing on this song. Like it depends on the song and what we're working on. We'll kind of be like, oh, well, this would be really cool if Juna could do something up here and this high register of hers would really bring it down low. I kind of just depends, on what we're doing, but we definitely try to like step out of that comfort zone a lot and do different things.
Yeah, and being a duo, it's different because you can put more, color into what you're doing and really change and have, certain harmonies and stuff and uniqueness. So it's brother and sister harmony. So
we love that.
Yeah, we love it.
It's really cool, honestly. Like it's our favorite part, I guess, about being a duo is just having the opportunity to do those cool things, like with the harmonies and different like things with like he'll sing something and I'll sing on top of him or do like different things like underneath while he's singing and things. Just really cool things that we love doing all the time. Like it's so funny when we'll do something, we'll be like, what did we just do? Like we don't even know.
That's why we record
That's why we
everything.
record everything. Because we can go back and be like, oh, that was really cool. So like, yeah, that's something, a technique that we use.
Sure. And I want to go back to the point that you guys were talking about, like you guys mentioned online school. And so like, how do you sort of manage that while you guys are on the road and making sure that you guys get the time in to do the things and catch up on everything else?
I'm currently going to Berklee College of Music, which is a very professional school, very well run. All the people over there know exactly what they're talking about, what they're doing, and everything about music. And on tour, I'm currently online, so I'm always getting, classes with the teachers talking about music theory, all sorts of things like guitar, piano, recording, songwriting, music theory, scales, all sorts of things like that. So it's a lot easier for me to do school online because if I had to do school in person, I would never be where I am today.
Yeah.
Like it would just not happen.
Yeah.
And I feel like I get a lot more done with online. I can, schedule things way easier. And yeah, it's such an awesome school to be able to go there and learn from professional people.
Yeah, I think going online has been like the biggest blessing for both of us because like Joey said, we've been able to travel and tour and do different things and work all the time. And now that we're doing online school, but also get an education at the same time. So it's been great. And I have to say, like when I first started my online school program, it was different because the first time I ever did it was when we were on tour last year in England when I started. And I realized that the time zones were completely different. So my classes were all at like midnight. And it was kind of weird. I was like, oh gosh, this is weird. But now I've gotten used to it and it's just like been the best thing ever.
Mm-hmm. And you talked about scheduling. And so let's talk about tour because you guys are coming off I mentioned at the beginning that a 10-hour flight and having just a hectic schedule. But then the most important thing is, when you're on the road, does it ever come to a point where you sort of recognize that you start missing home a lot more than you usually do?
Definitely there is that point. Last year, or not last year, in the last 10 days when we were here, like a week ago, we were here for 2 months. So everything we got, it's so funny because like we got here, everything was great for the first like 4 or 5 weeks. We're like, this is awesome, playing different shows, meeting different people, exploring, traveling, and doing different things. And then like the 6th, 7th, 8th week comes, we're like, all right, here we go. We're doing the same because we're doing the same playlist and the same speech, at every school every morning. And we're like, all right, Why Indiana? We did the song Why Indiana by Parker McCollum. So every morning we got up, it was kind of like the running joke, like, here we go, here's Why Indiana. Because it just kind of just got repetitive. But we love doing it so much that it doesn't really phase us. It's not like, oh, well, this sucks, like we never think that because we love what we do so much. And it's such a blessing and a great opportunity. And we're so thankful to be able to be here and perform and all that. But we definitely do miss home a lot. We miss our family, our friends.
Yeah, it was like the last week where we were starting to feel homesick. I feel like the last 2 to 3 weeks. And we miss our dogs. We miss when we first went on tour, we actually had our mom stay home. She's never been to England. and our dad came with us. But now that we're on the second run, our dad stayed home and our mom came, so she got to experience what we've been telling her about England and how awesome it is, how good the food is, and the time zone, how different it is over here. So it was really cool, to bring her. But yeah, we do miss things, like our friends. We really missed our friends. We're like, oh my God, I can't wait to see you.
Yeah.
It's something that's so special to us.
Yeah.
And just, being in your own bed is something different, just being in hotel rooms all the time. It's kind of crazy. But sometimes you just miss home, but you gotta do work, and this is what we're here for.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And I don't ever get a chance to talk about this with anybody. But thank God you mentioned this, Joey. I've been wanting to talk about this with so many people. Let's talk about the food, all right? Because a lot of people, like, they don't really mention it a lot on this podcast, but I want to talk about it because it's interesting. Nashville has a lot of cool food places I've seen.
Really good.
I've never been to Nashville, so tell me sort of the best places that have food in Nashville.
I can tell you there's Milk and Honey, which is in the Gulch, which is like my favorite area ever.
The sauna.
Of course, we love downtown, but the Gulch is like a really cute, really nice little like low-key, laid-back area. Milk and Honey, for sure. Desano's Pizza. I'm a big pizza lover. I could eat pizza 18,000 times a day, not gonna sick of it. This is a great pizza place. Also, Hattie B's is like famous for their like hot chicken, and the line was literally out the door. Like we waited, I think, an hour, but it was so worth it. Definitely recommend. And
Can't think of anything else.
those are like our top like 3 restaurants.
Oh, and ice cream.
Oh,
Jenny's
ice cream.
Jenny's
for
ice cream.
sure. Brown butter almond brittle, to be specific.
That's pretty good.
Best.
Yeah, if you try that, you knock your socks off.
Yeah, that's so fascinating. I'm definitely gonna consider listing those on my list here. And so as we're wrapping up, I want to talk about sort of your music, and I mean your new singles that you've had out, more than maybe, and then you guys had Till Your Heart Breaks. Can you talk me through sort of those songs and then sort of what you guys got coming up after that?
Yeah, about 2 or 3 years ago, or 4 or 5 years ago. It's been so long, it's kind of crazy. We went to Nashville and we wrote a couple songs with a brother and sister co-writer. So it was kind of cool to brother and sister action. And so we had this piano part
For Till Your Heart Breaks.
for Till Your Heart Breaks. It was being played. And we had the piano part. I was like, wow, this song is a country ballad. I feel like this song should be one of those power ballads. So we had the melody going, and it just came about. And then once we had the title, we're like, okay, this is gonna be a love song. This is gonna be one of those love power ballads. And then we got a couple weeks later, we went back and we wrote More Than a Maybe, and it's just an up-rocking love kind of summer song with an awesome solo. And we had the title More Than a Maybe, and we thought of the melody, and we just kept sitting there and we're like, oh, this is good. So then so we wrote a couple songs, and we have acoustic for both songs as well. And I think we're planning to do a music video for our next song, I'm So Over You.
Yeah, we have
a little bit. So we have a lot of upcoming music as well, because we're recording a new EP very soon. So it's kind of crazy, but yeah.
Yeah, we've had 3 songs off of our first EP out already. We have Something Good to Miss, Till Your Heart Breaks, More Than Maybe, and then we have I'm So Over You, which is coming out August 26th. So we're really excited about that. And like Joe said, we have this new EP coming out, which we've been writing more and more songs for, and we have fallen in love with all of these songs, but most importantly, our newer ones. We can't wait to put them out.
We're so happy to have new music and just be able to sing more of where we want to go with our music, because we were very young when we wrote these songs, but now I feel like we found where we exactly want to be, and what genre and what kind of melodies and all sorts of things that we want to go to,
position and what placement we want to have for our songs and our sound as a duo. So we've kind of been working through that ever since we wrote these songs 5 years ago. We've kind of just been working on where exactly we want to be and where we want we want our sound to look like. So we've been, working on that, like I said, and we're so excited to record these and put them out. We listen to them, we're like, wow, these songs are hits.
And our writing has been a lot better. Like when I've been going to that songwriting class at Berkeley, and it's really helped me, you know, a bunch of free writing that I've been doing, and you know how each verse and how each chorus, it has different, you know, boxes, let's say. So I didn't really know what that was at the time, but like a box is basically like any verse about like something, it basically can change in the second verse and third verse, so it has different meanings. So it just has a different, you know, take on each verse. So all sorts of things like that, you know, our originals have definitely, you know, grown
and our writing
ever since, you know, the first song we came out, which was, I don't even know what it was called. It was pretty rough.
Yeah.
But you know, the more you write and the more you get older, the more experiences you have, and your writing just gets a lot better.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you know, I'm a big fan of your 2 albums. I think you had Volume 1 and Volume 2. And I had a lot of Luke Combs songs on there, which I love. Luke Combs, big fan. Um, and so on my last question I want to ask you is, you guys had a special moment because you guys talked about this in the interview that I was actually listening to as well, that you actually got to record in the studio with the same microphone that Luke Combs used. Talk to me more about that.
That was awesome.
So we recorded the producer in Nashville, and he was kind of like going through all the artists that he had recorded and everybody that sang on the mic. And he had the plaque of like Luke Combs Hurricane album. We were like, what? He's like, yeah, I recorded that. I was like, really? Like, and that was just like so amazing because, as you know, we record all of his covers on YouTube and stuff. So when we got in there to record our own music, we could see that he was on that mic and that he recorded on that same studio. We were like, wow, Luke Combs was standing right here.
He said words on the mic that we're about to say on. Yeah, and it wasn't just Luke Combs. It was like 15 other like huge, big artists that we loved as well. And it was awesome. It was actually during the start of COVID. So like we all walked in with our masks on, and it was kind of crazy. But yeah, Taylor Swift's drummer was on there, Kenny Chese's guitar player, a whole bunch of seasonal professional musicians were on a record, and we were so blessed to have them at such a rough time. But they got it done, and we did it, and it came out great. So we're happy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Juna and Joey, for taking the time out to talk with me today. I mean, I had a great time chatting with you. To the listeners who made it this far into the episode, thank you for sticking around. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with country pop duo Siblings, Juna Joey. To stay up to date with their music, you can connect through Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at Juna and Joey. For more information, you can visit junandjoey.com. If you'd like to stay up to date with my podcast, you can find me through Twitter at the JIGME Show, or on Instagram or TikTok at the JIGME KELSANG Show. You can also find my show wherever you get or listen to your podcast. Thanks again for listening. I've been your host, JIGME KELSANG. I'll see you in the next episode.